Oh. Okay, so go ahead and do 10 strokes.
On my left side?
Whatever side you want. So now, what I want you to be aware of is what your left shoulder is doing and how much your hips are moving or not moving. Now go ahead and do 10 more strokes. Just like that feel. Get that idea. So see how your left shoulder wants to come lean forward? Okay, so what I want you to think about is that can I use your shaft a second? Your shoulders, right here. Okay, so let's say this is your left one. What you're doing is you're letting it go forward, and then it's breaking that upper back. You're going to get it rounded because the shoulder, I call it sexy shoulder. You're doing sexy shoulder. So what I want you to think about is that these are connected, and this is your left shoulder, this is your right shoulder, and come forward like that, and go through like that. Does that make sense? So that what you're doing is you're breaking it by moving in here.
Okay.
And that sexy shoulder comes forward, and see what happens. This rounds, and this is going to round. Especially then when you apply force, right?
Right.
So, keeping this in mind, go ahead and go forward again with your. See how your trunk follows? So now set up your stroke. Imagine you still have that parallelogram of your chest to the shaft, and keep that, and then just straight down and put it down in the water. There you go, and the hips too. There, nice. Feel that difference?
Yeah.
Feel more solid?
Paying attention to what's going on with my lower back.
So make sure that it's more because you're sitting on your butt's more in contact, and it's because try to hinge a little bit more. Now do it. Now do it. And if I held your jacket, lean forward. Tall, hinge. Tall, chest up. Better. There you go, chest up. So see how you're kind of wanting to cave here? So what I want you to do is two things. One, every stroke, remind yourself to hinge, paddle tall.
Because I slouched.
Yeah. So you're hinging at the hips like we talked about. And then the second is that parallelogram of your chest lined up with the shaft of the blade. Does that make sense to you?
Right.
Even when you're paddling, you're going to still have a parallelogram because you got the shaft here and your chest here. Okay? So focus on those two things. And just do slow, just play. And then tell me where you feel, what muscles you feel working. Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. So when you're pulling through, this is rounding, and this is where the force is. Okay. So, yes. So tall, hold the blade in front. Do the same thing I did with Brian. Keep your shoulders down and set. Okay, now have your left hip lead back towards me. Yeah, and then keep your hands on the blade, and then just do whatever your trunk's gonna do. And then just keep it straight in front of you. A second. Yeah. So we're gonna do both sides. So keep it straight in front of you, so it stays parallel to your chest. So have your left hip go back, then your trunk follows, right? Now go to your right. You're just gonna go back and forth. You can follow through a little farther. There you go. Now go back to the left. Don't worry about me. See how your trunk follows? Okay, now, do you see how, what is your occupation? What do you like to do? What's that? You work for Boeing? So do you do like technical stuff? Okay, so does that, so can you imagine a parallelogram with your chest and the blade? So keep that parallelogram when you set up your stroke. It's going to be modified, okay? Now let your left hip come back, your right hip forward as the blade follows through the water. And then change, yep. So this comes down, then forward with that hip, yep. Feel that? So hips and parallelogram. Think about that. Yeah, it's gonna, because your ischial tuberosities, your sits bones are gonna go like this. And you're probably gonna feel like you're forcing it at first because you have to in order to get it. And then it'll become more natural. So just play with that, and the key is to do it slower. where you feel it, or what muscles you feel working. What's that? There, perfect. Where else? That's mainly it.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get your core a little bit more. I got the So can you use your hips a little bit more? Fine. There you go. See that? This hip goes forward, this hip goes back. Okay, don't pull through yet. So keep there. And then when you pull through, this hip's going to go back and that one forward. See how your trunk follows anyway? Same. Recovery, pull, recovery. Oh, sorry. Pull, recovery. And as one goes back, the other comes forward. And then straighten your top arm a little bit. As you go. There you go. And lean. There you go. What am I probably doing? So what I'd like you to do is to do slow, super slow. And I want you to play with moving your hips. And basically, your sits bones are your ischiotubers, okay? Ischiotubers. So they're just doing this. So if you're on your paddling on your left side, you'll drive through your left heel. This goes back, this comes forward, and then recovery. Does that make sense? So play with that and just go slow and play with it.
Okay.
Okay?
You know that. Thank you.
You're welcome. As we do 5 more strokes, I want you to tell me where you feel it in your body. Where I feel it in my body? Yeah. What muscle do you feel? Where?
My abs, my upper abs, my hip, my forearm,
So what you're doing is you're rotating, then you're coming up. So try to reverse that. And then rotate. Yes.
up, and then
So that's still coming up. You're feeling. I know it's hard, right? But you're aware of it. That's where it starts. Yeah. Now rotate. And make sure to rotate from here versus the shoulder.
up, and then rotate.
Up. So hinge up first. So put your blade in the water and set up your stroke. And now keep it there. Rotate only like about a third of your stroke and then back through. So just rotate through and then back. Just like here. Just do that rotating. No hinging, just rotating. No sitting up. Okay, now in the front, now hinge up, same distance. Keep the plant buried. See that difference? Do it again. Just like here. Go sit up. You still have the blade buried. You're just doing the first little chunk. Okay, now, feel that difference? Now start with the blade there. And just go back and forward a little bit more by your toes. Now sit up and pull through.
Sit up.
Yep, sitting up. Just get a sense of what that's like. Now go there and rotate. Now rotate through. I'm breaking it up. Feel that? Don't sit up at all.
Oh, okay.
Just rotate right there and pull through. Feel that difference? So now it's putting it together, sitting up a little bit, then rotating. You see how that difference is in each? And you were still sitting there. Then rotate through. Yep, you got yourself. So sit up, push up, and then now rotate.
My body's going hard.
I know. The thing is it makes sense. It's just getting that. And it's really minute.
Subtle. It's so
Yeah. So go play with that.